1. Hello, guys. Good evening, good night. How are you guys doing today?
Hello. Good. Good.
Good.
It's
Not
Wednesday.
bad.
It's hump day. We're getting over the hump here, so you know.
Uh-huh. It's been a long day. Like, I felt today was dragging for me.
Trying to see if it'll let me share it. There we go.
Shared.
I'm having difficulties here. Oh. I want to just let me share it to my page. That's weird.
It won't let you start?
Whatever. It's all good. Like, it's giving me the option, but it's not letting me, like, share it to my page. I wanted to share it to my Facebook page.
Oh.
But
Okay.
anyways.
All right.
All good. Maybe I'll try again.
Cool. So,
alrighty.
Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Good night. Welcome to Let's Be Real. I'm your host, Danielle George, along with my co-host, well, our co-hosts, to be honest, Mr. Noel and Kiki. So, hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, we've got a few new followers via Instagram and Facebook. We hit our 100 on Instagram, so.
Dope.
Actually, I checked. I think it was yesterday or maybe it was today. No, I think it was yesterday, and it said 98.
Yeah, we hit our 100.
Good.
Yay! And I think we're at...
How are we going to celebrate, guys?
Well, I had a water shot because I'm not drinking right now. So.
Did you give up?
I gave up alcohol even before Lent. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
I've had like sips here and there, but you know that's
not giving up if you've had sips.
No, because
that's a major reduction.
No, but hold on.
Goodness.
I needed it. So
you needed it.
I'm back on my not drinking alcohol.
Are you gonna need
Tiana's
it?
birthday.
I was just about to say you're gonna need it 2 weeks from now. Actually,
yeah,
12
I'm ready.
days from now.
Yeah, okay. I'm ready for it.
I actually haven't really been drinking either, and I said,
yeah,
you know, maybe I'll indulge a little bit when my birthday does roll around. So we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. So for all the new followers, just to let you know, we're on this page, we're real. We talk about relationships, small businesses, arts, current events, and issues in the Caribbean and African community. So throughout the show, we want you, the viewers, to make comments. Let us know how you feel about the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So let's get together and be real.
Bam.
Do it.
Bam.
Do it.
So I have to talk about this because everyone's talking about it. Did you guys watch the Meghan Markle and the Prince Harry with Oprah interview?
Absolutely not.
No? Okay.
I did.
Okay. Okay.
Not initially. Initially, I just saw a bunch of clips and you know, everything that was being said on social media. But I actually did watch it last night because I had some time yesterday evening. So I watched it and I'm all caught up, I guess you could say.
So without giving it away to those that haven't watched it, that have like PVR,
like it's a movie.
It should be a movie. The way this interview went.
It's funny.
So the points that I just kind of want to put out there, because it's out there already, so I'm just going to touch on the points that are out there. The conversations that were had between the firm and Harry about worried about what the skin tone of the child would be.
Right.
I personally found that shocking. I don't know why.
Oprah definitely found it shocking, that's for sure.
She found it, yeah.
Her expressions were everything. The memes were so
yeah.
Sometimes you remember that Oprah's, never mind. But yeah, I watched some clips of it, and I don't know why anybody found it shocking, because it's the British monarchy. Like, it's a monarchy.
Yeah,
like they just like how many of the places that all of our parents came from were colonies of these
exactly.
of their ancestors.
Yeah.
And they haven't been a part of normal society. My God. I was worried for her. And there you go. No surprise at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But the thing is that the grandmother and the grandfather, what's his name, Charles? No. Philip.
Charles is.
They don't care.
Philip's Harry's.
Right. They don't care about all that stuff. It's what they call the firm that controls the monarchy. They're the ones that are worried about it.
That is kind of how they described it. They were saying, the family and the institution are two different identities, which I found quite interesting. Sorry,
go on.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if you guys watched The Crown on Netflix, but I am obsessed.
No, but I am now.
And I've watched a lot of different documentaries surrounding the monarchy and stuff like that, and I kind of already had that idea just based off of different things that were portrayed in the show and different documentaries that I watched, that it is really the firm, as they described it, or the institution who controls a lot of these things. Like, a lot of the times the individuals themselves don't want to operate a certain way, but because these are the rules and these are the things that are in place, they have to follow through with that. So my question to you guys is, do you find any sort of empathy for the queen or the prince and people who are in that position? Privilege aside, do you find any empathy? Because I guess, as Harry had said in the interview, for those who watched, he felt trapped, and he feels like his family's trapped. So do you guys feel any empathy for them in that sense?
I do, especially the way that they explained it. They really have no life. Like, their life is controlled by the institution or the firm. They really can't decide on what they want to do. So I feel empathy for them, for sure.
Timothy?
I don't.
No? Why?
Why is that? So, okay, because they can not be in it. They may lose some of the benefits. They have to weigh out what they want. Also, they're experiencing some of the most lavish life that you could possibly imagine. Anything that they may want to do is just them looking outside of the garden and being like, hey, it would be nice to be normal. Like, they're like Prince Akeem in Coming to America. Like, do you know what I mean? This is the institution. This is a thing. Like, I can't jump outside of capitalism. I can't jump out. Well, I could try. Now, how great would that go for me? But I don't feel if someone really felt trapped in the trap, they probably are like, disappoint everybody or do what I want. Everybody kind of has to go through that as they age. Like, do I want to stay in this, what everybody wants from me, or am I going to break out? Am I going to break out of that? So,
well, what if the queen has felt trapped all these years and that? But this, you have to understand, this is kind of all that they've known, right? So I feel like in that sense, like, I don't want to say they're brainwashed, because a lot of them are highly intelligent, some of them. So I don't want to say that they're brainwashed, but I do find some sense of empathy, like, that this is the only life that they've known, kind of thing. Because Harry did mention, if it wasn't for Meghan, he would probably still be there doing the same thing, still being what did he call it? What do they call them? Senior like participants of the monarchy.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I don't know. In that sense, I feel a little bit of empathy, because what if the queen just decided she doesn't want to be the queen anymore? I mean, then I would go to Charles, but then what if Charles was like, I want to follow in my mom's footsteps? But then I guess the monarchy will just
collapse.
Right. So, and that would be fine too, I guess.
But
a lot of people find that it's very outdated. So
I guess people might feel trapped. But one thing I noticed, let's say if you don't have the strength or don't have the true desire to stay within a certain structure you're expected to stay in, you usually see that the parents, they usually don't pass it down, right? Like that's what I've seen that a lot in all kinds of different ways, depending on what the culture is.
Right.
In some way, they liberate their kids from it, and I think that they experienced that a little bit with
Diana.
for the little bit they had with their mother.
Right.
Because she blew that thing out of the water, and they saw her strength in that way. So there's a part of me, when you see the movements, especially that Harry's making, like maybe that's the embodiment of this crazy system. Like she taught them an individuality that wasn't necessarily taught. I think a lot of people come into that. I would say Kate comes into it and is like, "Hey, I'm just happy to be here. I'll do what you want."
Right.
Right.
But you need the strength of your partner, and this isn't anything. You need the strength of your partner coupled with the strength of your own to fight against anything. Even if it's a religious expectation, if it's cultural expectations, like regardless. So when I say I don't feel empathy, I don't feel extra special for them beyond the like a Western culture human experience where you kind of get to choose what you want to do and what you want to be. They're just like us, to be honest.
Right.
Except they have more. If there's anything I feel sorry for, it's the lens that's on them while they make their changes. But listen, go to a really hardcore church and talk to a pastor's kid, and they will tell you about the same lens. It may not be, but there's always people watching where the normal people.
I get that.
Yeah, you don't get that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, how about we touch on the biggest issue about that whole entire interview, which was race.
Yes. What
were your thoughts?
It's
race. In what sense? Like the relationship?
Instance, the conversation. Well, yeah, different aspects. Mostly pertaining to the child, the conversation.
Right.
That they had about what the child's skin color would be. Like, what were your guys' thoughts about that?
To be honest, I was shocked, but not shocked. Okay. Because I'm thinking of a soccer mindset. Europe is very...
I kind of see where you're going with this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was shocked, but not shocked in that sense. I was shocked at the fact that they said when the child is born, they're not going to get security. They're not going to get the royalty pretty much balloon once that child is born. And when, the tradition of the mom and the father taking a picture of the newborn baby right outside the hospital.
Right.
Remember, the firm did not, or the institution did not want that because they didn't know what the child was going to look like at that point. So they just didn't do it. So I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know.
That's like, that stuff is a mess.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, but when you think about it, for the firm or whoever they are, they must be literally more power than the monarchy itself then.
Oh, they are.
Yes, definitely. And that's what it seems like, right?
So
like they have control of what the media, they have control what the media says about the royals, the monarchy.
Right. And what I found interesting is when they made the comment about like the UK tabloid parties that they would host. I found that quite interesting. Another thing for me, do you guys feel, okay, this other question, going back to empathy. Do you feel empathy for Meghan Markle? Do you feel empathy for her?
Only because of what she's told everyone, what happened behind the scenes. Yes.
But before that you didn't really care. You
didn't really care. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now that you've gotten some insight, you do feel some empathy.
Yeah. She was technically bullied that whole time she was there.
But yeah, I don't
Because of her
know
skin
what
color.
people would. I don't know what. There's certain roles that you step into. You got to know that there's going to be some stuff.
Yeah, but
You
don't
know.
forget that she grew up in the States. Like they don't really know anything about or were taught anything about the royal family. Keep that in mind.
But
So she's
You're
going
going to tell me you're going to marry into something you don't know anything about, especially something that big.
That's what she pretty much did.
Well, maybe she's probably just really excited about. She's probably just really happy to be a princess.
I think you should watch the interview.
Yeah, go watch the interview.
Yeah, whatever.
Aisha said 1 drop rule in full effect, and I'm guessing that is in regards to the baby, because basically what they were saying is that for other members of the family and other people who were married into the family, they were never, I guess you could say, threatened or told that security wouldn't be provided or their offspring won't get titles and stuff like that. And they kind of beat around the bush as to, like, there was no distinct reason as to why they wanted to implement those things specifically for their child. But based on, the conversations surrounding the baby, it was obvious that it was due to race, which I don't know. Like they had mentioned, they said Meghan Markle was probably one of the best assets, or would have been one of the best assets to the monarchy in modern times.
I thought she fit in it very well. I thought she played it really well.
Yeah,
I thought she was
great.
The wedding, the bits of the wedding that I saw, just when you would see her in public, I saw them ripping her apart from really early, but she just looked. I thought she fit in it really and handled it really well. But again, there's what you see and what is, and
right, exactly. But they did say initially, when she met the family and everything in the beginning, like it was great. They said the family loved her and everything like that, and it just all kind of took a
left turn,
took a spin.
That's
right. Mentioned is that it was after their Australian tour, I think. And what I found interesting is that Harry said it was almost like deja vu for the family, because it was kind of like the same thing with Diana.
Exactly.
Right. And ever since,
and that's the reason why they wanted out.
How well they did with the tour and everything. It was kind of like, it's almost like they were too hot, there was too many eyes on them. And it was kind of like they wanted to contain them. So
yeah,
but it was definitely interesting.
I did watch. I did see some tweets, and there's a Facebook group that I'm in, and it's predominantly not people like us, and some British people were posting about it and how they spoke about her, and versus like Kate, and I was just like, wow. It was rough. Like it was because I don't expect much of the monarchy, but I kind of would expect like normal people to kind of understand how insignificant it really is, but then for the people to be talking about, like, these aren't elected officials. Like, these are just
exactly.
Like, these are just people that happen to be in this thing, and then the way that they, like, the things that they would say, like, it's like literally all race. But that's familiar ground, though. At least maybe for us, that so many things have to do with race. So
yes,
it's just like, you're part black. So
yeah,
right.
The monarchy,
No, I kind of liked what you touched on when you said we kind of, I guess you can say, identify in everyday life. You know what I mean? There's those subtle things that we experience every day.
You know what's funny though? I guess that it is subtle, right? It's sometimes subtle. We raise up, something happens to one of ours unfairly or whatever. But for the most part, we're not. Sometimes you go through your day to day and you're not sure. It could be, but it's likely because you're black. but like in these instances, from the little I see, it's 100% that you're
Oh,
black,
yes.
and 100% about this defenseless child, like a child.
Exactly.
So in that regard, like that's what, like, it's not over and above because of who they are. It's just like just on that human experience level. Just because they make $1 billion, it doesn't mean that they don't feel pain. So
yeah,
on that level, it definitely like, ugh.
Right. And the thing is too, she said that pain led to her being
contemplating.
Suicidal.
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
rough.
know. The entire situation is pretty sad. And for those of you who, you know, have followed Meghan Markle before, you know, she got married to Harry and stuff, she's been a huge advocate. She's done so much. She has so many accomplishments under her belt.
I did not know that.
And then,
I
like
do remember
said,
her from shows.
She was silenced. So yeah. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, for sure. And
yeah, she's a big advocate for, you know, like human rights, feminism. They're big into like animal rescues. There's a lot of different things that she kind of had her footprint on before she became a royal.
For sure.
So
for sure. There's a few things that happened, well, the aftermath from that interview. One being a lot of people that are in a lot of countries that are in the Commonwealth are contemplating stepping out of it because of that interview. Because if you think about it, a lot of the Commonwealth is mostly black based. So just knowing, so just hearing that, even I think I heard this morning that Canada's thinking about stepping out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I didn't hear that, but I saw some interviews from people from different countries who are part of the Commonwealth, and like the thing is, it's kind of funny because some people is almost like you said, they were shocked. Some people seem like they were flabbergasted, but when you really sit down, it's like, are you that shocked though?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at the different things that are happening in the world right now, still today, that have to do with race. So it's like, are we really that shocked? You know, like, I don't know, can really put it past them. I don't think so.
When you think about like how influential England or Great Britain was in the colonization of the world, and then not just the colonization, but the structure of their law, their political structure is still very much based off of England, and when you see that and you hear that's in the back, you hear that's going on in the background. For some people who really rate the Commonwealth, that could be like, here we are pledging to something, or we have some flag up somewhere, and this is the corruption. Also, not just the past, but right now, that I could totally see why there would be countries that would be like, you know what, we're done with this. Because it's direct affront to most of the members of these nations,
right?
Black or whatever the colors, whatever their nationalities may be, you know, or their race may be, you know. Because they would have done it I think they'd have done it with the Asian, or if it was anybody. Like, from the sound of it, we don't know.
We don't know. Time will tell what will happen from this interview, because there's a lot of aftermath that's going on right now. It's a mess. So on top of that, since we kind of touched on it earlier, interracial relationships, why do we think there's a stigma on that still? Or is there a stigma about interracial relationships? In your opinion?
I mean, yes and no. Like, there's some people who just don't care, you know. Some people are like, you love who you love, and that's totally fine. And then there's some people who are like, no. So, I mean, To me, it's an individual choice.
Right.
It's an individual choice.
Yeah. I feel the same way. To be honest, I just don't. My thing is that when you're walking down the street with whoever you are with, if it's white, black, brown, Asian, whatever, and you're crossing paths with this person of that same race, why do you feel ashamed when that's the person that you chose? You should be happy with
How do you know they
feel? What are you talking about?
How do you know they feel ashamed?
Have you seen that? People feel ashamed?
I've seen that, especially because I walk by a lot of either black women or black men, and I walk by and all of a sudden you see them up, and then as soon as you pass them, their head goes down, like, I don't want to look at you. Like,
well, maybe it's not that they're ashamed. Maybe it's just that they don't want the glare or the look that they think you might give them because that's been their experience. So they just want to deal with it.
That could be it too, for sure.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's a good point.
Because there's still that going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's still some of that going on, especially with even almost with the renaissance of Black love's always been here, but I think it's becoming more. I don't want to say acceptable, but I just think that there's like people are making it's more palatable. I think even for Black men, like some that didn't see the beauty in us are seeing it more now. Like it's really been in the consciousness these last few years. I don't want to say that Black Panther was the marker, but it was one of those things that, there were just people were getting more awakened, and then other actual societal events went on, and do you know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like that when you see another Black person, or when you see certain couples or whatever, some people might be projecting their family member on you, or they're projecting an experience in the past on you. So I don't think they're ashamed, or they probably wouldn't have got with them in the first place.
Right.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would hope. Imagine being the partner.
Right.
I don't care how much white privilege somebody has. I don't even if it's even whatever way it is. Imagine how Meghan Markle feels right now. She's perfectly fine with herself before this, and now she feels right now. Or then and then how so? You know what I mean? Like imagine the partner, how they would feel. Like my God. Yeah. Duck your head down and driving past Black folk. Oh my God.
I have seen kind of, I guess you could say, like a double standard. Just different conversations and comments online and stuff like that. Something that I've noticed online is, let's say there's a Black male celebrity and he's with a person not the same race as them. They get bashed a lot in the comments. A lot of the times, at least I've noticed this. And you guys can put your comments in and say if that's something that you've noticed as well. But then you see a celebrity, or like a female celebrity, Black celebrity, who's with someone outside of their race, and then people are like, "Oh, good for her," and and so why do you guys think there's that double standard? Like a good example of that was Rihanna when she was dating that Arab dude. And then then there's different male celebrities who date outside of race, and usually they're like, oh, they don't like their melanin queens, and like these are a lot of comments that you see. But then, and what was that show? What was that show that were popular? Was it last year or the year before? And there's that really popular couple, Cameron and oh my goodness, what's her name? What was that show? And they were like, they fell in love with each other through a wall. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I think it's called The Wall.
Never heard of the movie.
I don't think that's the name.
It's a show.
I don't think that's the name. But it was super popular. And then that couple like blew up, and everyone's like, "Yeah, girl, good for you," and you know what I mean? Because she fell in love with this white man, and you know they have this great relationship. Like, why do we feel like? Why do you guys think there's that double standard when it comes to the Black men versus Black women when they find themselves?
Was this that Love Is Blind?
Yes, that's what it's called. Love Is Blind.
Yes.
Google told me. Okay. Never heard of it. But I think it's just there's some statistics. There's marriage statistics that are semi well known within our community for our women, and so they look at it like when a woman. I think when they look at women that leave and or someone finds love elsewhere, they're celebrating that she found love. Like that's how I look at it. I could be dead wrong, but it'd be like, you know what, girl, cool, go get your love, get your husband. I don't know. That's what it seems like. Why they celebrate that, but they don't celebrate because when it comes to long-term relationships, marriage, typically men do the picking, typically choosing, I would say. So there's a lot of them that do that.
Right.
But I don't know.
Okay. There's some comments here.
Hold on. I think the notion that white women have to be submissive to be with Black men versus blank women choosing.
Black
versus Black women choosing. Now, white men have to.
I see where she's coming from. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya. When a white woman is with a Black man, they're submissive. They pretty much do anything a Black man wants.
I don't think that.
Where I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna stop. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what I think she's going with.
Greg said, "Why stress about who other people are dating?"
There's that too.
There is that.
But as much as we want to say that, there's always going to be somebody.
The Black woman seems less harsh next to a white man.
Huh.
Does she? It's the perception? Really?
Oh. Interesting.
I've seen some nasty comments on the internet that you can't necessarily go by. But like, for example, like a guy like Bill Burr, who's very outspoken when it comes to gender stuff, and he's with a very powerful Black woman. And in the comments, you hear it's almost like there's this idea that almost like they're disappointed. And these are white men. They're disappointed that a guy that they look at like a hero didn't go, didn't get with a white woman. And then because there's a lot of groups that are on the internet that like people for certain reasons that are unintended reasons. And there's a lot of kind of very, like, even though Bill Burr was that right side, far right guy's perfect comedian, because he called out everybody. He called out everybody. And so when he got with a Black woman, that far right was like, what? Like, that's not something, and he doesn't really interact with the negative things that people say online, so it doesn't turn into anything. But if you follow him and you read the comments and you read stuff, like, that's not the perception that I got when a white guy gets with a Black woman. I usually think of I usually think that she was either in a place. I'm usually thinking about why she chose him, not why he chose her.
Right.
Because Black women are the least likely to date outside of their race or color.
Right.
So if she chose him, it's usually like there's a lot of people that'll tell you, growing up in Edmonton, how could you not date interracially? Right? Like Black women will tell you that. So I've never really saw the left off. Like, who's less harsh? The perception is that a black woman will be seen as less harsh beside the white man?
Yep.
Never heard that in my life.
No?
As a guy.
Tim, I just want to go back to something you said. You said, growing up in Edmonton, how can a black woman not date interracially? Mm-hmm. I've never been in an interracial relationship. Danielle, have you ever been in an interracial relationship?
Neither have I.
Okay, so hold on. I'm not saying, like, I'm just saying, if I see it here, I'm thinking it has more to do with where we are. Then if we're in Atlanta,
right,
I'm looking at, I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like a little bit more like, oh, really? Right? Because in our community.
No, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. It's more of a population thing.
So I've never really,
density and whatnot.
I've never really seen it as she looks different with the white man. I thought the black woman kind of stood, and people have that perception of her, and I didn't think that the white man softens her at all. If anything, you hear that, like, man, he must have a pair. Like, he must be pretty tough, because there's this perception of her. Like, yeah, that's been pretty rock solid. I haven't heard that. Just saying.
Okay.
I see.
Greg has a comment here that says, I find it funny that women fire shots at a guy for dating someone who is not black when themselves would never date that guy. I went through this in college. Black women hated she was Filipino.
Woo. That right there, boss.
Yeah.
That right there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, Greg, it's because they wanted to date you? They just, again, perception?
But I think he's saying that. I think he's saying that he might have put some attention that way, and he didn't feel the reception the same way he felt it elsewhere.
Exactly. Exactly.
But like, this brings up a whole nother thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, what a lot of the times what black women view as a strong man, or what generally is seen as strong, and you see it a lot, you hear it a lot, you see the memes. It's just like, in college, he's a square. At 35 and 40, it's like, hey, remember me? That's
right.
But you know what I'm saying? Because, and I think there's something that's in our culture a lot, because of what gets the black people who get promoted and they get the most screen time, if I call it that. They like, the media, whatever, chooses to show a certain type of person, a certain type, like, you know what I mean? So I think that can sometimes form what we look at, what people look at as cool. And it's happening with the men too, because there was a time when the black men have loved the genders behind for the history of ever. But the way that some people now, the amount of I literally watched this evolution. Like, you just see like this huge booty, this big thing that creates this unrealistic expectation on women. Do you know what I'm saying? And then now you see the women, everybody, it's like you got these little pencil legs and this humongous one, like, that don't look right. But there's all these things that happen, right? Because there'll be some guys that, well, she don't got a big thing and I want to date her. But she looking at this guy, he doesn't act like that, so I don't want to date him. And I was just listening to something today that said, it's like there's almost a conspiracy to keep us away from one another, to keep black women and black men away from one another, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And so you see the black women that are in the forefront in the media, and the black men that are in the forefront in the media, and there's a recipe for disaster at people at their prime ages of picking partners. The prime age that you pick a partner. And then when you, like, and I find that it's a lot, I was just saying this, and this might be too public to say it, but whatever.
Let's be real.
You know, it happens later in life. Now it's like, yo, that college dude didn't look so bad. You know, and now that girl who didn't go out and didn't do this, you know, she doesn't look so bad.
Do you feel like that stems from, I guess you can say, kind of like a timeline thing? Like, hey, like the clock's ticking, like I'm getting older, I don't want to be alone in my old age. Do you think that's the reason why people kind of double back and say, hey, well, you know what, so and so over there wasn't too bad? Like, do you think that's one of the reasons why people do that?
I definitely. When having a partner actually means something, right. Like when they really realize, like, oh snap, I'm getting older, or he realizes, like, man, I want children,
right?
And then, but it corrects itself, but I think it starts to skew it starts to skew to the side of one, like, men, or the very attractive, those who can keep them. There's a whole bunch of ways that it skews when both of you guys could have experienced life together from young, and that's the thing that really is unfortunate. Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah,
so we're not gonna address black men trashing black women to validate dating outside their race. I don't even think they matter. Like, that's not who we want. That might matter to, I don't know, I don't think it might matter to white people, their perception of us, but it's like, that's not the man that anybody wanted. Did you want the guy that would talk about a black woman that way? He's justifying it to who?
Right.
Justifying it to who's that justification going to work on other than other white people?
There's one other comment I want to go back to. It said, to me, black women are seen as dominating her white husband, and he likes it too.
Oh, I see that.
I've definitely seen that. But that's another way of validating. Invalidating somebody's relationship. Okay, yeah, he's soft and she's big and hard, and and that's why they're together.
Right?
My brother's married to a white woman, and not like that matters that it's my brother, right. But we probably know some relationships where it was just based on they fell in love.
Right.
I definitely, there is a thing about why they fell in love, or not why they fell in love, sorry, or some people that are specifically going for some things. That has to get dealt with. There's self-hate when it comes to guys that are going to say they don't want to be with a black woman, or going to use. When people are balanced, they don't have to justify anything. I love her. Bun you. You don't like it? Don't hang around. They don't have to knock black women to love a white one. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's if that's a problem, or that is a problem, but if you're solid in what you like, it's like, okay, that guy's an idiot. That girl's an idiot. Because we know that there's no real book you could judge by its cover. We know that.
That's true. That I can agree with.
So,
what didn't you agree with? Let's talk. Let's be real.
No, I'm just saying I can agree with that last statement, and I'll leave it at that.
So with that statement that was just said, I don't know if you guys heard the song 80-20 by Chloe and Haley. If you haven't, I suggest you listen to it. It's quite.
Have you
it's
seen
quite a
their Instagram posts lately?
Yo, I've been watching. I've been watching. But
they out here.
They out. They definitely out. But they have this song called 80-20, and pretty much the storyline is you're in a relationship with your partner that has 80% of your list. But then later on, you see someone that has 20% of your list. Do you stay with your 80, or do you go try the 20 that's more exciting and fun and spontaneous?
You stay with your 80, man, and 20 is just your top up. I mean,
easy.
No. Okay. Let's break it down. That would have to be one hell of a 20%. You know what I'm saying?
One hell of a 20 still a 20.
There's still a 20, but did they put a spell on that person? They got some magical pixie dust or something? I don't know. There's nothing wrong with being intrigued, you know, by a different person.
Right.
But I feel like there's so many different factors at play. Like, I feel like if they said, you know what, it's more of a 60-40 split or a 50-50, and then you decide, you know, what core values that you're really looking for. Like, let's say it was 60-40, you know, and then the 40%, you're like, you know what, like, these are major things that I'm looking for in the person that's 40%. And then you see if you can figure out the rest of it along the way. But 80-20, I don't know. I did see the clip though, and she said it was an interesting storyline. To me, it just seems like that's for fun. That 80-20 scenarios for fun. I don't know.
It depends what we're talking about though. Like, this like, first of it, are you ethically non-monogamous? Or are you like in a relationship with an 80?
5 men at 20%.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm getting
what Tanya just commented. That's how most relationships mash up, and that's like, yo, people are just like I had a good man or woman. They were great. They did this. They did this. They did this. They did that.
Right.
And you know what? This guy's smile was amazing, or that girl had huge boobs, and they put it all on the line to go and right.
But that's what I'm saying. They're like 80-20 to me. If we're looking at an overall picture, doesn't make sense. That's why I said if it's like a 60-40 or a 50-50, and then it really comes down to what you want and like what your core values are for a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there would have to be some. Well, I don't want to say they'd have to be on par with each other, but
I think for the sake of argument, or to make it easy and kitschy, kitschy.
And that's what I think it was. Like she said,
I think that sometimes like that 80 is not really 80-20. Because that 20, you could say it's 20, but that 20 is that thing you always wanted. One of those big ones is support. So you know, she's a good mom. She's this, she's that. She cooks, she da-da-da-da-da. But she doesn't support me in the things that I love the most.
Right.
You know, you could call that 20. You know, someone could say 80-20 because of all the things that you need out of a relationship.
Right.
But sometimes it's that, like, they're not there for you in that thing that you've always wanted, and that's the thing that you wanted. Do you know what I mean?
So then that's totally an individual thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because people from the outside looking in can say, oh, look at so-and-so, like, they do this for you, they do this for you, they do this for you. But like you said, it depends on what you value. Because like you said, if support is that one major thing that they've always been craving in a relationship, that's what they're gonna want. So then I guess you could say the 20% is outweighing the 80% in that case, and then you can see if you can figure out the rest of the percentages. I don't know.
That's a lot to figure out.
The thing is,
but again, I think it depends on perspective. Like, my 80, what I could consider 80% for one person, you may not consider 80%. You know what I mean? In your relationship. Like, I could be dating someone and the things that they're doing, I could be like, you know what? Like, this is my 80%. And then you'd be like, well, no, I consider this, and this as the things that I need to get to that 80% or that 100%. So I just feel like it depends. If you're single, if you're single, you know, and you're out there doing your thing, then by all means, you know what I mean? Why not have your 80% over here and your 20% over here, your 25, your 25, your 25, your 25 over here? Why not? You feel me? Until you figure out.
But you have to, this is where knowing what you want the most. Like, I'm going to clue y'all into something that's going to be in a book one day.
Okay. You guys got your paper?
I call it the turnkey list.
Oh.
Like, right.
Okay.
So, and I came up with this with a friend of mine who every day she was looking for a house. Every day she was looking for a house, and she would go and she would look for, she used to tell me that what she liked. But then she'd go and see a house, and then she'd be like, "Oh my God, I think I found the one." I'm like, "Tell me about it." And she wanted the house to have 4 bedrooms. She wanted the basement to be done. She wanted the landscaping to be done. She wanted everything all done. And she wanted it to have a really nice kitchen.
Right.
I'm like, "Tell me about the house." And she's like, "Well, it has 4 bedrooms, and it's this and it's this." I'm like, "What about the basement? It's not done. What about the landscaping in the yard? Oh, it's really small." I'm like, "You're gonna buy that place, and then you're gonna hate it."
Right.
So I said, let's write down the things that you really, really, really can't do without in a house, right? And then when the realtor asks you, "Hey, there's this other one," if it doesn't have those things, say no. Right. The next house that she did that, the next house she saw, she bought, she still lives. You know what I mean? And I thought people can be the same. It can really be the same. If there's things that you know you can't live without, don't try and mess up somebody's life and get with them when you already know that they don't have it.
Right.
You know? Because then you're just going to be like, "Oh my God, they're not that thing that I knew I wanted." And then leave them. And then they'll be all broken up and upset and whatever.
But then at the same time, it's like, don't settle. But I get that. I don't know.
But don't. Yeah. Like that's what, get what you want. If what you want is unreasonable for where you're at,
right,
it is what it is. Yeah. But it'd be better than take some you kind of deep down know you won't be happy with. Don't do that.
Right. My thing is, if you have your 80% and then you found your 20%, who are you to your 80 and your 20? Like, what are you bringing to the table, right?
Exactly.
Like, are you 100%? You know, when you're out here looking for your top ups and whatnot, like, are you 80% to your 80? Like, let's say, for instance, that's your 80, but deep down, you're only like a 50 to your 80. You know what I mean?
I think that again, I think that the market takes care of that. Like, if you want something that's out of your league, like most cases, you won't gonna get it, or if anything, you won't know how to keep it.
That's
you know, like, you've got to be prepared. You got to prepare for the things that you want, right? You got to prepare. You know, prepare for it. You know, if you want, like, what does not that you should be living your life to live your life, but if you're going to be intentional, what would the person that I like want? Would they want me?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people don't ask themselves.
No, they don't.
When they get in relationships, they don't. They're just like,
lofty goals.
I want. And it's like, well, hello, you need to take a look in the mirror and see what, you know.
I think she is too, Greg. Y'all late.
What? I feel like Kiki's trying to tell us something. Okay. I don't know. What do you mean?
Oh my goodness. So
that's funny.
I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but I know I wrote a list, but I'm gonna skip down for a bit and go down to political correctness and not offending people.
Political correctness and not offending
What about it?
people.
So, is it getting out of hand? AKA, Dr. Seuss is now canceled. Mr. Potato Head is now Potato Head. Pepe Le Pew is now canceled. Eminem is supposedly canceled for some stupidness of a song he sang in the 90s that was a lot worse for previous that album. So, you know, it's no here or there. But
for those of you who don't know,
yes.
I guess over the last, what does it say here? Over the last couple weeks, 6 of Dr. Seuss's books have been removed from publishing for allegedly having racist imagery, which has stirred a bit of controversy. Some of the examples that I came across by academics was a Chinese character in Mulberry Street, and that's a title that doesn't really ring a bell to me.
Like none of these books ring a bell to me.
And another article I saw did say that the 6 of these books that are being removed from publishing aren't very popular books to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, it was just saying in this one particular book there was a Chinese character eating with chopsticks and a bowl of rice, and then there was another one that had 2 African men, and I think the title was called "If I Ran the Zoo Wearing Nothing But Grass Skirts." I don't know. I think it depends on the timeline for sure, because Dr. Seuss was born in the early he died in 91, I think I saw.
Something like that.
And he was born in like the early 1900s. So I guess you could say a lot of what he wrote about is just his experiences. Exactly. I'm not saying that it's right. Yeah. But you kind of have to think about the lens that these people had when, when
they're writing books.
They created this content. Because they had said there was, I can't remember exactly what it was. Something to do with the Japanese. There was this one book and, people found it offensive. And then he went and wrote another book that kind of, I guess you could say, corrected that. So again, I feel like, it kind of has to do with the times and upbringing and the lens that they had and what was going on in the world during that time. Do you guys find... Oh, sorry, Tim.
No, go ahead. You're asking a question.
No, I was just going to say, do you guys find, making these changes in modern times is substantial? Is it needed?
No.
What are your thoughts on that?
No. It's annoying. I'm over it. I'm honestly over it.
Okay.
The society today is overly sensitive over things that happened decades ago.
Depends on what it is.
Depending on what it is, yes. Depending on
at least to me, it's
here's the thing. I grew up watching Pepe Le Pew. We all know his story. Why are we bringing it up now?
Well,
just because society is some of the habits in society and the views of how of the images that we portray to children has changed a lot. And for some reason they think that it's negative, or it might give somebody the wrong idea. I think they don't really care when they make these changes. I think it's a money thing. I think they don't want somebody to pick up a book and sue the publisher. Or I don't think that they want to that's what I think they're trying to, things like that they're trying to avoid. I don't think it necessarily helps. It doesn't help us, or it doesn't usually really help the groups that much, other than some warm and fuzzies to be like somebody cares.
Yes.
But I think that's what some of the marginalized groups, that is a plus to them. Somebody cares. Somebody will acknowledge that this thing annoys me.
So if I acknowledge that a certain street acknowledges me, can I get that street canceled? How far is this going to go?
I think as Black people, we got to be really careful, because there's a lot of things that we expect to be canceled, but then the other things we're going to think is ridiculous. So I think we have to be careful with that one.
And that's true, because
I think we have to be careful because, hey, I've had people. I remember just growing up in church and people talking to me about the gays and the this and the that, and I'm just like, hey, for them, they're fighting. They just kind of jumped in to try and grab the same. There was people that did not think we should have any kind of rights.
Right.
So first, there's groups that want to be acknowledged, and then there's companies that are trying to save their butts.
Right. And it's in. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's interesting that you brought up the topic of, are they just doing this for money and they don't want to get sued? Because I also found out that Dr. Seuss was the second highest paid dead celebrity or person, just behind Michael Jackson last year.
Wow.
Made $33 million, Dr. Seuss. R.I.P.
Wow.
So I definitely think it's like, are they really doing this because they genuinely think, these are changes that need to be made? Mm-hmm. Or are they doing it because of the current racial climate of the world? Or are they just doing it because of money? Maybe a little bit of both.
I think they're trying to get out of. They just see how it's going and they're trying to get out ahead of it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you said that, because I did see a statement. What did it say? They said this move is a small part of a wider plan set in place to represent and support all communities. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what you said. They're just trying to get ahead of it, ahead of things.
Okay. Greg's just brilliant. Like, cancel culture is part of how you rewrite history. Like you're putting things out there. Imagine if you're trying to write a book, and everybody knows who Dr. Seuss is.
Right.
If you're gonna put in some things in your book, this guarantees that we don't do this anymore. At least you don't get to be a part of the mainstream anymore. Mm-hmm. And is it sensitive? Is it kind of much? But when it comes to the racial stuff, I don't necessarily think it is. But even at that, with the gender things, I may not think it is, because I'm a straight Christian male, right? But and there's a level of privilege that comes with just that. But if I'm not in that group, and then everything that I see is nothing like the way I feel, remember, that's what Black people said. Nothing that's around is the way that I feel. Like the Band-Aid colors. The white people said, Band-Aid? You care about a Band-Aid? They don't care, because every Band-Aid looks like them.
Right.
Right. So I think that when it does get out of control a bit, but I think it gets out of control when it's the implied things, But even at that, we're in a time where my feelings matter. Like, my feelings are valid. Everybody's feelings are valid.
I was just about to say everyone's feelings.
And then there is a danger of group identity, but that works for people to express their feelings. Unfortunately, like, which is a whole nother conversation, on the left, all the groups war. They fight. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe they're changing. We're on the left. You're liberal-ish. I can't believe that they're canceling Mr. Potato Head. I love Mr. Potato Head, but you're perfectly glad that there's no, they got rid of what was that thing you're glad there's no gollywogs, which are that kind of black-faced doll that were just normal. But you don't want there to be the gollywog, but leave the gender stuff, because I don't care about that. So that's why that's why a lot of times on the left, people can't really stick together, because nobody really cares about their issues. Whereas on the right, everybody's like, we don't care about all of them. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this. Sorry, go on.
The thing is, I feel like in the media, like, these stories are portrayed as cancel culture. But there are people who are sticking up for them and saying, no, they're not actually canceled. Like, they're just recognizing that these are issues, and they're voluntarily addressing them. Like, that is the other argument, right?
Okay. My kids are grown, so I don't know what's out there anymore. Is Mrs. Potato Head still a thing?
Yes. So
okay. So are they both just going to be Potato Head?
Yes.
Like, is
my
just
knowledge,
one, and then they're just going to have women and male parts that you can just
right. To my knowledge, like, the packaging is no longer going to say Mr. Potato Head or Mrs. Potato Head. They're just giving kids and whoever a choice to choose.
You might have to start packaging the accessories individually or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
like, if you want,
so is Barbie and Ken still a thing, or is that canceled too? Or are they?
Well,
see where I'm going with this? Like, how far?
No, for sure. Yeah, like,
I totally get that, because I mean, did you guys used to watch My Scene? Probably. That was more my.
No clue what that is.
Because I thought it was great, as a kid, when they came out with, like, Madison. Madison was like a black Barbie doll. And I thought it was so cool.
Oh wait, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you see now, Barbie is kind of doing a bit of a rebrand where now they have tons of different dolls with like different skin tones and stuff.
But again, is she gonna be a Barbie in the next? I say by the end of this year or by next year. Is there still gonna be a Barbie and Ken?
I think so.
I think there will always be a Barbie and Ken.
No, I think so.
There'll always be a Barbie and Ken.
All right.
But who someone said non-binary potato person. But that's just it, right? Because I mean, some people would say, "Oh, leave Mr. Potato Head and leave Mrs. Potato Head. Like, why are you changing their names?" You think about it, you're like, but it's a potato. Should it have had a gender to begin with? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, these are different things that people can use to combat these things. Like, some people are like, you know what? There's no need to change these things. But then someone could be like, it's a potato. It should have never had a gender to begin with. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, like there's some stuff like I feel like I'm a progressive person. But there's some stuff that
you're just leave it alone.
For real.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we're taking 1,000 steps on the removal of the potato gender.
Yeah, like, I feel like when there's different, more pressing issues to address, we're talking about Mr. Potato Head or Potato Head,
and that's fair. But to some people, that's the issue that's pressing to them.
My thing is, I guess, if these toys or books are still so highly relevant, like I don't have kids, but like let's say there's some parents out there who want to buy this for their kids. Let's say gotta
go to the pawn shop or on eBay now.
Yeah, let's say both parents are male, right?
Yeah.
And they go to the store and like, do they buy 2 Mr. Potato Heads, or like, you know what I'm saying, or like if they come packaged with Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. And then the kid's like, oh, well, I wanted to have, like, maybe these are things that are happening. And maybe that's why these companies are making these changes.
I want to find a link to it, though. I want to find a link. This is actually, this isn't the same issue. Yeah, never mind.
I'm intrigued, though. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, then, there's a study in the Scandinavian countries,
Okay.
And they are the most egalitarian countries in the world. Like, like the whole pink and blue, that whole separation, that whole they got rid of that, or they worked to get rid of that over decades. Okay.
Right.
But the data shows that the gap between male and female grew wider when they thought it would just make everybody, there'd be more women engineers. They thought there'd be more male nurses. They thought there would be, and it didn't. It widened the gap. When you left people alone, they kind of just, they did things that were actually more stereotypical. And again, when I can't remember the term for the differences between one and the other, but like the same reason why when they say most in psychology it's 60-40, doesn't seem like much, but that is a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't
hot topic tonight.
So in any case, they ended up being far more like, I'll find the study and then I'll put it in there. It gets quoted a lot, but it's just interesting that we're doing a lot of that work here to get rid of the pink and blue, to kids are just deciding what they want, and we're forcing it. I think we're forcing it here. Whereas, and then they did that, and it did not give us the results it didn't give you the results that they wanted.
Right.
It's really, really interesting. And I'm talking, this is over decades, So, we're doing it here. And I haven't heard any Mr. Potato Head protests. I think some of these companies are sitting down and they're like, you know what? Let's avoid this. We see where things are going. What's a new way that we can market our product that kind of, and that's what they do.
And kind of saves their butt too, like you
it's
mentioned.
It's money.
Right.
It's money every time.
And now, like all these companies are getting sued and all these different things. You're right. They're kind of
they're like, yo, emergency meeting. Like, yo, we gotta talk. You think that you're talking about Barbie. You don't think that there's going to be a non-binary Barbie if there isn't one already?
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, check this out. So if you guys are in the multiverse, shout out to Nilo and Nigel. Mm-hmm. In the multiverse group, I posted this doll I bought for my daughter. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember. She had a wig with braids, and then underneath she had natural hair, right? And she had kind of designs in it and and it comes with all the clothes. My daughter thought this doll was male and female. I only found that out recently because of the short haircut. Ah. Even though it came with only female clothing, right?
Right.
She thought she kind of thought that when I don't put the wig on, it's a boy, and then when the wig on is on, it's a girl, regardless of the clothing. I thought that was super interesting. Mm-hmm. And I would say that I try, other than the way that she picks her own clothes,
right?
But and it's funny. I remember and some of y'all might have heard me talk about this. She was like 1.5 sitting in the cart, or 2 sitting in the cart, and she picked. We're walking through Winners. And she's picking the lilac and picking pink. That's all she'll pick. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? I don't teach her that. I definitely know her mom doesn't put her like that way.
Right.
So this is just her making her choice. So I thought it was like super interesting. Super interesting.
It is very interesting.
So we always go over our hour. We're like at 1 hour and 11 minutes, which is good. So this is why I like doing what we're doing, because we can go as long as we want.
That's right. It doesn't just go to like the bars or the screen fuzz.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't have lights going off on you. Someone saying,
"Yeah," you don't have someone saying 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah. And you're.
Well, we run things now.
We run it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, if you guys don't know, it was International Women's Day on Monday. Happy belated International Women's Day to all you queens out there. Whoop, whoop. If you don't know, it's also Women's History Month. So I want to give you guys a few nuggets of Canadian Black history.
Okay.
If that's okay with you guys before we go.
That's totally fine.
All right. So Mary Ann Shadd Carey from 1823 to 1893 was the first Black woman newspaper editor in North America. Mary Ann was an advocate for universal education, Black emancipation, and women's rights.
Oh.
Right? Viola Desmond, as we all know, from 1914 to 1965, changed segregation practices in Nova Scotia long before the Civil Rights Movement in the United States. She took a stand for racial equality in a rural movie theater in Nova Scotia. Violet King became the first Black person of color in Alberta to graduate law school and admitted to the bar.
All right,
there was no year on that, yeah. And the last one that I found, there wasn't much I can find online. The Honorable Jean Augustin, political leader, social activist, educator. In 1993, she entered politics and became the first Black woman elected to the House of Commons.
Yep.
Yes.
She proposed a motion recognized February as Black History Month. So we thank her for that. So
huge.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So a few little nuggets for you guys. Throw some knowledge in you.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
That. I appreciate that. Me and Danielle were a part of a little International Women's Day event that occurred this weekend. We did a little pre-recording. We were playing steel pan for that, so that was kind of neat to be a part of one of the events that were going on in the city.
Sure. Yeah. Anything you want to say?
Congrats, ladies. Big up the black woman.
You know, got to make sure our crowns are on straight.
Is there a Black Women's Day?
Every day.
I don't think so.
Oh gosh.
If you're black,
it is. Hold on.
You feel me?
Since there was an International Women's Day, is there a Man's Day? Now that we're getting into this whole...
There we go. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
A Man's Day? I do not know anything about a Man's Day.
Tim, do you wish there was a... Okay, that was you answered my question.
Do you wish there was? Do I wish there was?
If you wish there was. Because you could say every day is a Man's Day, but then people could say every day is Women's Day. So
every day is everybody's day.
Exactly.
But
in the world we're living in, yes.
Well, right? I made my own holiday, so I don't need any more.
Well, what's your holiday?
Timentine's Day.
Nice.
You think I'm joking too?
Can I ask what you do on this day? Or is this a personal thing? It's a personal.
Let's leave it for another day.
All right, so on that note.
It rings a bell. It rings a bell.
You heard it? I told you about it before, didn't I?
Yeah.
Look at her with shame. Thank you. No support. I was just like, he was just like, yeah, I heard about it.
There was no shame, okay?
No
shame at all.
Oh, okay. All right. So on that note, we'll call it a night.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next week. Make sure you share the live. And
yep. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Remember, let's be real.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.